Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We are working on this really smooth Williams Dealer's Choice electromechanical pinball machine that we've had in storage forever. And the thing needed a back glass. We finally tracked down a used back glass that we slid in it. And we've been working on it, trying to get it going. Last time we worked in the bottom on the mech board, and we worked in the back box on all of that stuff. And now we're up to, we need to work on the Playfield. This one's got some issues. So one of the issues is it has this neon pink paint on it. That is really hard to repaint and match. So I don't know what we're going to do with that yet, but we'll see. It has a little bit of wear. But I figured I'd just show you what we're starting with, and then I'll have Joe clean it up. There's not a ton here, so it'll probably go pretty quick, but then the touch-ups and all of that, we also obviously need to work on the pop bumper skirts and things, will take a little longer. So here's what we're starting with. Flipper drag here. For whatever reason, a lot of wear there, and it makes no sense because there's no reason that there would be wear off on one side like that. I don't know what that's all about. There's even some wear here that makes no sense. Nothing can get there. The ball won't even get there very often. There's no kickback or anything, so there's no reason that should be worn, but yet it is. Real fading right here in this area. You could fix this by repainting all of the pink, but the problem with painting pink is it's a really thin color. So you really kind of need like a base under it, which means you have to repaint the whole thing by hand, and it's just, once you do that, it becomes pretty obvious that you repainted it. Some wear there. I'm hoping that whenever we hit this with a magic eraser, we can get some of this fading to go away. Hopefully we can bring back some of the pink paint that's under it that hasn't been exposed to light yet because it's slightly below the surface. Right? So pretty heavy wear around this top pop bumper to the point that the mylar was cut away or broke away or something, and then that skirt is all chewed up, and you can see on these other two pop bumpers that they've replaced the skirts at some point. Notice that these two caps are dark and this one's lighter. That's just because these are original and that's a replacement. So at some point they put a replacement cap on it and two replacement skirts, and now we're to the point where this skirt needs replaced, and you know, there's just a lot going on. So I'm going to try to just do whatever minimal amount I can do to make this look more presentable. Just cleaning it will help, but I can't leave that pop bumper up there like that. So I'm going to have to try to match the pink, but it's faded in such a way that even if I get a good match for the pink up there, it won't be a match for the pink down here. So there's not a ton you can do with that. Again, I could repaint this whole area, but you can't just paint like one coat of pink on top of it to make it right. It's too thin. And it's like a neon pink. It's a hot pink, I would call it. You can get a little idea of it right there over by the side. It's like a really bright, hot pink. It's a 1986 pink. So yeah, luckily the plastics are all in good shape as far as not being broke. They are all yellowed. I don't know how much that'll clean up, but they'll look clean at least whenever we're done. But we got kind of a, you know, this one's kind of mediocre. It's not, it doesn't have much potential to end up looking perfect at the end. So we're just going to try to do some kind of minimal restoration of it where it looks better than it does now. So this is what we're starting with. Playfield. Got it cleaned up as best we could with the magic eraser and just cleaning methods. And we are going to have to try to repaint a little bit of it. I'm not going to do the pink because it's just too tough. Up there I'm going to do some of it, but I'm not going to do it down here because it's all faded in a different color and it's never going to match. But we need to get rid of this wear right here. I don't know whatever caused that, but that's really kind of degrading the quality of this game. So I'm going to try to put a thin coat of something on there. It's going to be tough because I'm gonna try to blend it in and make it where it's not super noticeable. Very hard to do. You could repaint the whole thing, but then that makes it pretty obvious that somebody's repainted the whole thing. So that is a white, but it's no longer white. It's like a yellow. It's a cream almond color almost. So I've got some different shades of that kind of thing. And I've found before that this camera actually shows a pretty good representation of the difference in the color after it dries. So as you can see there, that's a little bit too light. That color is lighter than that. This is buttermilk. I've never had buttermilk match anything. This is camel. Ooh, that's pretty close, but I don't think it's close enough to perfectly match. Maybe we'll try it and see, but I think it's going to be a little bit too dark. But maybe if we put a little bit of the buttermilk in the camel, it'd get it pretty close. I've got these other colors too. They're not right, you know. They're off. But I think that and the buttermilk might get us something usable. I've also found in the past that you can dingy the color up a little bit by putting just a little bit of green in it. This whole playfield is slightly green. It's hard to tell, but I figured it out over years and years and years of doing this. It's just greened because what happens is the lights take away the red pigment from the artwork. So if you take red away, you've basically made it green, more green. So it looks like it's yellowed, but if you pay attention to it and think about it, it's actually a little bit green. That's been my experience, at least. So maybe that and just a little bit of green will get us there. So I'll put some of this just straight on first, just to make sure it's not a really good match, and then we'll go from there. All right, so if you put just the plain color in, you can see that it's too dark. So I went ahead and covered up mainly what we need to repaint. Okay. So then I added in some of our buttermilk, and that got us this color, which is much closer. But you can see that it's a little bit, this is the hard part to understand, but it's a little bit too red. It's just in that direction on the color wheel. So a little bit of lighter green, I think, will pull us back towards where we want to be. So I'm going to try putting in like a really light green. We're just trying to move it around the color wheel to the right color of brown, basically. So I'm going to put a little bit of light green in it and see if I can get anywhere closer to that. I might need to lighten it up a little bit more with the buttermilk too. All right, so yeah, I added some buttermilk, lightened it up, and then threw some of this yellow citron, I would call this green, but whatever, in it. And to be honest, went pretty heavy with it because I'm telling you, it's really green. And then, what do you think? I don't think there's any way I could get it any better than that. But the other thing I do is I don't go overboard. Like, I'm not going to fix this. Like all the just little wear here and there, I ain't messing with it. If you've got big heavy wear, yeah, you want to get rid of that. But like the little stuff, you want to leave it. It will actually make the rest of your touch-ups look better. Because if it's too nice, it's going to obviously look like you touched everything up. So you got to use it where you need it, and then roll from there. I may touch this up because that's going to look pretty rough. Yeah, maybe I'll do that because we're going to ink that back in with black. Look how they've got the silk screen off a little bit. See how the lenses are a little bit to the left? So I think I'll line that, and then we'll call it a day. I'm also going to take this same color and use it to fill in the parts that are missing on the pink, because I found in the past the pink is so freaking thin that it won't cover bare wood. It'll just be way too dark. You have to put like 10 coats on. So I'm going to cover the wear that's already here with that. The reason I'm using that color is because we already know that that has a similar greenish look to all of the art on the entire playfield. So the whole thing has greened over time, and we've got a color that fits. I think that's a pretty good match. That's about as good as I can get it. That's a pretty good match. So we're actually going to use it as the primer up here, and then that way the base coat of our pink will have that same kind of green tone where it's all going to hopefully blend in pretty good. All right, so yeah, let me put that in, and I'll do just that little line at the bottom. All right, so I inked the black back in. This is what I use for those. Posca. These are Japanese ink paint pens, but I think they're Italian too. I think they're France. They're French. France. It's a French company, but they use Japanese ink. You know, I'm all about all that. You know, I don't like that China stuff. Oh, if you want these, so the reason that you use these are acrylic based, and all the paint we're using is acrylic, water based. All kinds of reasons for that. One, whenever you clear coat over it, it's easy to clear coat over acrylic paint. If you use oil based paint, it's really hard to clean up if you make a mess and you need to take it back off. I could get this wet and rub all that paint off right now if I wanted to. But if you use oil-based, you can't do that, right? And then sometimes, depending on the oil-based paint you use, whenever you spray clear coat over it, it interacts with it, causes all kinds of problems. The paint will literally run off the playfield. So, to not have that problem, I use acrylic-based. Very easy to work with, very easy to clean up, easy to mix, and it's cheap, right? So that's what I like doing. So I use acrylic based. So I use acrylic based paint pens. If you want this exact type that I use, they're for sale on our website. Go to lionsarcade.com, and there is a parts page up at the top. If you click that parts page, it takes you to a bunch of links to stuff that we use in our videos, like these paint pens. And there are links on Amazon. If you click any of them and buy them off of Amazon, it gives us a little percentage of what you bought. And if you buy anything else on Amazon, it gives us a percentage of it. So you don't even have to buy those. You can go on there and buy you a Bang Bang, and it will give us a percentage of it, or whatever you choose to buy. All right, so I'm going to call that done on the bottom here. I'm going to go ahead and clear coat it with some spray paint, and then we're going to move up there to the top. I need to take those pop bumpers off so we can get down to it. I need to replace all that stuff anyways. But we're done with the bottom part here. Hopefully it blends in well underneath the clear coat. Okay, so here is that area with the pop bumpers removed. Now we have one thing that's going to help us get this passable. You're looking at it from here, so your head literally would be about right here. And there's stuff in the way and everything. It's just, you're not even going to see the wear. So we're not trying to make it perfect up on close inspection. We're just trying to make it where at a glance you don't even notice it, like this here. You know, that came out pretty good. I'm really proud of that. That's about as good as possible. The lettering is always my weak spot, and I know that somehow this insert's twisted. We'll have to see if we can twist it back. But that pink up there, if we get it even close where it won't stand out that much, you're not even going to notice it because it's behind pop bumpers and things like that. So let me get some pink out and see if I can get anything close to that mixed up. It's kind of like a pink that's faded to salmon. I was hoping that would brighten back up whenever we cleaned it with the magic eraser, but no dice. You can see the original color right there. So originally it was like a hot pink, very nice. We already talked about this once, I know, but so I'll see what I can do. All right, that's how it turned out. It's all right. Again, your eyes would be about right here. What do you think? You can see that one pretty good. And of course I put new pop bumpers on it. The worst is up there on the top right. That didn't match hardly at all. Pink is a very hard color to match, especially when it's faded. I mean, think about what I'm working with here. I'm trying to match a color that's like a variant of colors. It's almost impossible to do. But all you really need to do is just make it where people's eyes aren't drawn to it. So I think I accomplished that. And I think this part down here is really good. So what would I grade it? We don't have all the stuff back on it yet, but if starting out it was let's say it was a 4. It's probably a 7 now. So that's what I think. I think it was a 4 before because it had to wear here and it had obvious wear up there. And now it's a 7. This looks pretty good, but it's not perfect. And that up there, if you look close, you can see where. I think saying it's an 8 would be a little bit of a stretch. All right, so we'll have Joe put all the stuff back on it. All right, folks, it's viewer mail time. Look what we got. National Trading Standards, Safety at Ports and Border Teams, Protecting Consumers, Safeguarding Businesses. We got GoPlasticPallets.com. We got in a box from our friend James Watson. This is our address if anybody wants to send us a letter. James sends us stuff from overseas from time to time. I'm going to guess this is the bottom because it's all puffed up. And we never know what we're going to get. So let me cut it open. All right. Hi, gentlemen. Thought it was about time I send something else over to you. Please find enclosed a few new decorations for the shop's Christmas tree. Okay, that's good. I'd been looking for something suitable, and then, can you believe it, I found the arcade machine bauble. Okay, let me see. Arcade machine bauble. Look in here. That's pretty cool. I think that'll look good on our Christmas tree. Merry Christmas. It's got Santa and his reindeer, and they're pixelated like an arcade game. I like it. And it says ho ho ho. Thank you, James. What I didn't like was the lack of a joystick and buttons on it. So putting my thinking cap on. Oh, that's right. It doesn't have a joystick and buttons. I realized some Legos might work for those, so I've enclosed a small bag of bits in the hope that you can rig something up to represent buttons on a joystick. Alrighty. Might be able to make something work. Boy, Legos are pretty amazing, aren't they? Alright, thank you, James. Immensely enjoying all your videos, from the upright arcade games to old radios and to my favorite, the EM pinball ones. Regards, James Pound Town Watson. So there's a store over there called Pound Town that you can buy everything for £1 in. Over here it would be called Dollar Town. Pound Town. Okay, we also have the telephone booth Christmas tree ornament. I like it a lot. Oop, I don't break it. They appear to be glass. I'm just going to lay it down. And then we have a letter mailbox. I believe it's a mailbox. A mailbox Christmas tree ornament. Does it say that? Yeah, it says post box. Well, I like it. Very cool. Well, thank you, James. I'm glad you put the extra padding in it. They made it all in one piece. Nothing is cracked, broken, or damaged in any way. You had one job to do, and you did it well. Now, if I can just keep from breaking them before I get them on the Christmas tree, we'll try to show them on the Christmas tree once we get that thing up. So we'll let you know how it goes. So thank you, James. We appreciate it. Now, back to your regularly scheduled video. Okay, that's what we ended up with after Joey cleaned it up and put everything back on it. The plastics are in pretty good shape, but they're yellowed. But with the overall condition of the machine, I think they're appropriate. We did spring for the new pop bumper caps and parts, of course. So all of that looks really good. So yeah, the top is done, I believe. Let me see here. I don't think there's any flipper drag. There's a little something going on there. So I think the bushings are fine. Yeah, see, you get discoloration and it makes you think there's something going on, but the flippers are not dragging. So that's about all we can do to the top for now, but we need to still work on the bottom of the playfield. I think this is very presentable now, though. Remember, we had the wear here, which was really obvious, and you really drew your eye to it. And then we had heavy wear around the pop bumpers, which is gone now. So I think it makes it much more presentable, much easier to sell. And I gotta say, it kind of, with the pop bumpers back on there, if you didn't know that I touched that up, you would never figure it out. Because there's other parts that look like somebody touched it up, but they didn't, you know. So it's just wear and discoloration and stuff like that, but that's not from paint. So I'm pretty happy with it, even though it's not a perfect match. Okay, so let me pop up the playfield and we'll mess with the bottom of it a little bit. So we looked at this in the first video. It's an asymmetrical layout on the playfield, which is cool. I like those. But it's fairly typical. So you got 3 flippers. You know, the one extra one obviously is a little different. You got 2 kickers. 2 kickers. You have a huge relay bank over here. And they say number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10, Jack relay, Queen relay, King relay, Ace relay. Again, card themed, so you're going to have some cool poker-ish type things going on. And then we have the advance relay, the 50-point relay, the 500-point relay, the bonus relay, the double bonus relay, the triple bonus relay. There's a triple bonus, people. Now I know why we like this one. Setup relay, the special relay, and then a couple more that I can't see because I'm not quite that tall. What does that say? 1 to 9 reset relay. 10 to aces reset relay. Interesting. So it has reset relays like the score motors. Why would it need that? Oh, okay, I see why. It's because it's actually 2 reset banks. There's that one. And that one. It's so big, I guess that makes sense. And then we have a 4th flipper over here, too, that's hiding from us. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go through and clean all of the switches on every one of these freaking relays. And if I run into anything weird, where one's misadjusted or out of place or something's wrong, I will show you. But this is all just, you know, the typical stuff that you do over and over again on every machine. It's not really worth showing every little spot of that. So we'll do that first. All right, I got all the switches clean. There wasn't really anything going on with any of them. There wasn't any broken wires or anything. You're just using a little point file, a little flat file, to clean the contacts of the relays. And you need it to go to close and open. Back and forth. What is that turning on? Something's turning on. There it is. Well, we know that bulb works. Next up, though, I am going to replace all of the light bulbs, and then that will leave us with the flippers and this bonus relay, which looks like it needs some help, some serious help. I mean, bonus relay, bonus unit. So let me swap the light bulbs, get them out of the way, make sure we have all new fresh light bulbs that are going to last a while. And we'll go from there. Okay, all new light bulbs. We always use number 47 light bulbs. The originals were number 44. You can use either one. The 44s are brighter. 47s are a little, it's just slightly dimmer. You can barely tell, but they run like 40% less voltage and theoretically make 40% less heat, less wattage. Less wattage. So I've swapped all of them. Some people put 44s on the Playfield lights because the thought behind that is that they're not on continuously. So the general illumination lights on the Playfield are on all the time, but the ones that are features are off a lot and just come on sometimes. So if they're putting off a little more heat, it doesn't really matter because they're not going to be on the whole time. So that's one way to look at it. All right, now we need to mess with this bonus unit. These Williams bonus units are a work of art. This is the older style that doesn't have the third coil. But this particular one has a rivet that's burnt all to crap on it. Look at that. They make new rivets for them, but I don't really have the ability to do that. So we're just going to try to repair it with some solder and see how that goes. But I want to look and see why that's doing that. See if we can figure that out. So if you look, the light that's lit up is the very first light. So that's the first position. So the rivet that is messed up is kind of the 0 position, like before the number 1 light. The home position, maybe we'll call that. So why has that rivet burned up? It must be used to pulse up the coil or something. But maybe we look at the schematics and see if we can figure that out. So when this gets all the way back, when it gets to its first rivet, a whole bunch of juice is running through there, and it has fried that thing. I wonder if we can tell. You can kind of tell. See that? Is that the one? Let me see. This is what you watch my channel for, people, to see me do bad photography. Yeah, that's it. Isn't it? That wire there. I mean, I can use a meter to figure it out, but I'm trying to figure out what wire is connected to that rivet. There's a whole run of rivets, and the very last one is the one we're looking at. If you look, you can see all the rivets down there on that top row. And then we have this wire. So that is orange and yellow. So I think the orange and yellow wire is connected to that rivet. Alright, so let's look on the schematics to see if we can figure out why that would be burning up. Okay, so how would you ever figure that out on a set of schematics? Well, since it's a stepper unit, they're drawn as these big boxes. So see how this says number match unit, right? That's a match stepper unit. That's the one in the back box. This one says ball count unit. Okay, and this one says bonus unit. So this is the one that we're looking at, and it shows all of the lights. And I was saying we're at position 0 and it's burnt up. When it's at position 0, that rivet's burnt up. But if you look at this, they're showing you that this is the wiper arm that goes across it, and these are the little rivets. So this is the one we're talking about on this, if this was correct. But there's nothing hooked to that. And we just saw there is a wire hooked to ours. Right? So that's not it. So one of those other arms is this one, and it's making the lights light up. When I said, oh, it's at light number 1 right now, I didn't mean that actual arm, I just meant the whole unit. And so one of those wipers goes back to position 0, and then a bunch of juice runs through it. All right, so how do we find that? So one of the little arms, the wiper arms, is running the lights. And then if you keep looking, if you just look, these are the player unit. You run into this. Now, this is different. This says bonus unit 0 position, and notice they're drawing it as a box instead of drawing it as a switch. They're drawing it as a box because that's what's going on. When it gets to the 0 position, there is a rivet, an armature on it that connects 2 of the rivets together on the little stepper thing, right? And so they're drawing it as a box to illustrate that they're talking about the rivets on the stepper and not the switch on the side of the stepper, right? But if you look at this, it says black and blue, white and red. Well, that's not our colors. But there's another one here. When it gets to the 0 position, it also connects these. And sure enough, yellow and brown connected to blue and brown. So I was saying that looked like orange and red. This says yellow and brown. That's probably right, though. So when it connects, it's going to send power through those rivets to make the bonus step-up coil work. So the reason that it's burnt up is just because it's been used a lot. So this one here is used to make the out-hole relay fire. But that happens at the end of one of each ball. The bonus unit, the bonus step-up, well, that would only happen at the beginning of once for each ball too, now that I think about it. Well, for whatever reason, this is getting charred because it's trying to drive a coil. So we just need to clean that up and get some solder on it to reform it a little bit, and I believe it will work just fine like that. But it's just seen a ton of use, and that's the problem. So the amperage going through it is higher, I guess, because they have they're running a coil, and because it's, instead of a light bulb or something, it's literally driving a coil. So. All right, so I cleaned up the rivets a little bit and put some super lube on it, and I reformed the rivet with solder. I just used my soldering iron to fill up the hole with solder, and then used a file to file it down flat. That's all you gotta do, folks. Oh, and here's super lube. This is the stuff. Synthetic grease, and it's dielectric. That's what you want, folks. You want dielectric. Look at this. It meets former USDA H1 guidelines, even, whatever that means. If you are rebuilding stepper units, this stuff's great for it because you want it to be slick. Works fantastic. I couldn't recommend it enough. You can pick this stuff up at your local hardware store. But if you don't want to go out to your local hardware store, you can also pick it up on my website. Go to lionsarcade.com, and up at the top there's a parts page, and it's got stuff like this that we use whenever we do our repairs. There's a bunch of links to a bunch of stuff that's on Amazon. If you buy anything on Amazon after you click those links, even if it's not what we sent you to Amazon for, it gives us a percentage of your whole purchase. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that, especially for Christmas. All right. So, when it goes this way, steps up. And when it goes this way, it resets back. Now, this particular one doesn't have a total reset. You can't just, and you got to make sure that your new rivet that you made, that the blade will slide up on it. And it will. Now, if you remember, when we looked at those rivets, there were no wires on it, just that one. And if you look at these rivets, there's a wire on every one. That's because these are the ones that light up the light. And then if you look at these rivets, again, there's only one wire. And if you look at these rivets, there's only one wire. So what's going on? Well, this is just kind of like a generic bonus unit, and they're only using a few things on it. So on this, for instance, none of these rivets matter because the only one that matters is when it gets to 0. That one connects something. So when it's on these other ones, it doesn't matter. Over here, though, it does matter because it needs to light up the light bulbs. So easy peasy. Okay, that's that. There wasn't much to it. Let's see if we can slide these. We haven't played the flippers yet. I don't know how loose as a goose they are. But one thing I don't ever like is whenever they have those metal sleeves on them. See the metal sleeves sticking out of the coil? Those are bad. Okay. They'll give you all kinds of problems. So if you can replace those, replace them. Sometimes you have to replace the whole coil because the sleeve won't come out of the old coil. So we'll see if we can bang the sleeve out. Sometimes they just fall right out. Sometimes they're stuck in there like swimwear. So we'll see how bad it gets. We got 4 of them to mess with. You can also replace the plungers and all of that, and the coil stops depending on how far you want to go, but I don't really like to spend a bunch of money on that whenever we haven't even played it yet to see if the flippers need any kind of work. So yeah, let me mess with that a little bit, and then we'll move on from there. All right, they all came right out. One of them gave me a little trouble, but most of them came right out. That one came right out. This is just how they did them in the 70s. So those are likely the original coil sleeves. And what happens is you end up with a problem where if the plunger is hitting them, like maybe when it comes in it's not perfectly straight and it like hits this spot on the sleeve, it will make a little nick and then start pushing some of the metal, and it basically, you'll start getting where it doesn't move that great. Right? So it's just a good maintenance thing is to replace them, and you replace them with brand new nylon ones. You also get this. So this will happen because whenever the plunger goes back, it's real violently hitting the back of the coil. Bam! You know, of course this isn't moving, but bam, 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 bam. And it moves it just a little bit, and it will literally wear a hole in it. The nylon ones never seem to do that. I don't know, I guess because they bend a little bit. But these metal ones will cut right up. So that's the first thing to replace. If you're feeling like you want to spend more money, you can replace the coil stops too. But the problem with whenever you do that is they no longer match the wear pattern on the plunger, so you need to replace the plunger as well. So if you're going to replace the plunger, replace the coil stop while you're at it. The thing is, though, there's very little play in this plunger. You get a little play right here on this little Bakelite piece or whatever that is. I guess it's not really Bakelite. I'll invent a word. It's phenolin. maybe I can illustrate it this way. Yeah, there we go. So see the wear? When you buy brand new ones, they have almost that much wear on them. That's just, it's not sloppy enough to replace. And all 4 of them are like that. So I have left them. I think a lot of times people rebuild their flippers when they don't really even need it. But that's just my opinion. A lot of people don't like when you sand these rivets too. I like doing it that way. That's just my opinion. So the whole point is, if you don't like the way I do something, do it the way you want to do it. I promise you, I will never show up at your house, and if you've decided to polish these, I will never show up at your house and say, oh, hell no. Oh, what are you moron? You're destroying the thing. No, you're supposed to use sandpaper. I will never do that because I am an empathetic person. If you do something one way and I do it another way, that's fine. It's a very unimportant thing. Now, the people that watch my videos don't feel the same way sometimes. So, to the people that are having the freaking vapors because I sand the rivets, look, I've done hundreds of them that way. The people that taught me have done tens of thousands of them that way. I don't see it as that big of a deal. You do yours the way you want to do it. So anyway, that's my whole point on the flippers too. If you want to spend the extra money and make yours really nice, you go right ahead, buddy. I don't have any problem with it. All right, so while you weren't looking, we finished up the bottom of the playfield. So we did I cleaned all the switches, and then I replaced all of the light bulbs. Then we messed with the stepper unit. We fixed the rivet. And I have serviced the flippers. We already did everything in the back box. We already did everything in the bottom of the game. The only thing left is to see if the freaking thing will play. All right, now I have a confession to make. Many years ago, we were working on another machine, and we needed a chime unit for it. So we removed the chime unit from this machine. Now keep in mind, it didn't have a back glass. From this machine, and put it in the other machine. So currently, this machine does not have a chime unit in it. But over the years, I got another chime machine for it, a chime unit for it, and we'll put that in it in the next video. These things, that they just take a lot of work. Think about all the stuff I didn't show you on camera. And we still don't have everything done, and it probably doesn't even play right yet. But you can film 20 videos of this. Okay, so we're just going to see if everything resets and it kicks the ball out. The card on it says that it's on 5-ball. And we're going to see if we can flip it. And then on the next video, we'll troubleshoot whatever's left. What the hell? Okay. Well, I don't like that. Did you see the smoke? You saw the smoke, didn't you? Did you see the smoke? I'm just looking for more smoke. If you didn't see it, there was smoke right here. I think from that doing its thing. Yeah, I don't know about that. We better check that out. I don't see any more smoke, but obviously it didn't like something. Usually whenever it does that real quick, it's because the switches are too close. And so whenever the rubber bounces, it makes it close again. So the switch touches, the little hammer kicks the rubber back. And then when the rubber comes back, it makes the switch touch again, and it does it over and over again. So I can smell something, but I think it was just that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with the ball just to watch it do it again, but I'm going to turn it off real quick so that it doesn't burn up or anything. It also says ball and play 2. And we had 10,000 and we have 10,070 points. So I'm just going to bounce it off that to see if it does it over and over again, and then we'll turn it off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, see the sparks and stuff. It's actually very common to get sparks on these. They arc, so that just needs adjusted. It's not that big of a deal. Now again, no chimes. Kind of worked its way out. I wonder if there was something. I wonder if there was something touching. Yeah, okay. I'll play it for a second, but if it starts machine gunning a lot, I'm going to turn it back on. Flippers look decent. Oh, top pop bumper isn't popping right. Now let's watch the flippers now. Whoop. Let me get a good whack on it. Okay, that flipper's fine, right? And that flipper's fine. The flippers are fine, folks. Now you saw I did not replace the plungers. Ball 3. Ooh, that's nice. These things play horrible with the glass off, and they play worse with no chimes. Ball 4. Look, it's Christining itself. I don't think we're quite level. This is going to be an interesting game. I like these ones like this that are a little different. I know a lot of people hate them, but you know, I learned a long time ago that my opinion of pinballs is much different than most other people's. I would much rather have this one than a more traditional layout. Oh, I scissored it. Okay, I'm gonna start it again just to make sure that the brrr doesn't have anything to do with starting the game. It shouldn't. There's absolutely no way that it would, but just checking. And I want to make sure that we are going back to ball and play 1. Yes, it clearly says ball and play 1. The machine is christening itself. It's fixing itself. We have a conundrum. Damn it. I see no way out. I could do like a death save. All right, I'm going to do it. Hell, I own the machine. I'm going to try it. If I hit the left flipper, and at the same time I knock the pinball machine that way, the ball should roll down. Well, I don't think it can, though, because this one will be up. I tilted it. These damn operators and their hard tilt. You saw I was doing it though, right? It would have worked if it wasn't for the tilt. Look at that. If it wasn't for that tilt, I would have just saved that ball. They just want to rip you off, you know? They don't want you to... Ironically, I tilted it in such a way that the ball can't move now because I can't hit the flipper. And so this would have wrecked the machine, basically. It would sit here all day like this because there's no way to get the ball loose. If you hit it hard enough, it might pop loose, but I doubt it. Yeah, so there you go. I think my death save was right, though. That would have worked. I think it's playing pretty good. I just don't know if it's scoring properly and if everything's working right. There's always a ball trap like that up there, isn't there? I wonder if that thing is on backwards. Yep, it is. That's another thing. Let me show you that real quick. Let's go look. All right, so see how the ball is caught there? That's because, strangely enough, this is on backwards. If you turn this around, if you think about it, let's say we turn this around, this would be here, and this would be here, right? So it's aimed that way, it would be aimed that way if this was flipped around. Let me see if it's going to, is there a nut under there? I don't know if I can easily do that or not. But this is upside down. You can put it both ways. And you can tell that's what's going on because of the wear. When this comes around, it should hit the rubber right there. But it can't because it's out of the way because of the way they've got it mounted. Maybe I'm wrong. Why is it not getting stuck there now? I don't know. Scratch everything I said. Let's look at a picture. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. It's right. But you saw how I couldn't get it to stick again. Maybe it was just a super fluke. I don't know how it was stuck. Maybe there was something on the playfield there and it was just sitting on whatever was on the playfield, and now that little piece of dirt or grime or paper towel or whatever has been knocked away. But that's how ours is mounted, so I have seen that before. If you ever get that where it's happening over and over again, check to make sure that's not on upside down. And what I'm doing is I just went to the Internet Pinball database and looked at their pictures there of how other people have theirs. That's the easiest way to do it. Sometimes on things like that, you can look at the original flyer, which is also on the Internet Pinball database, ipdb.org. And they've got pictures of all the games, and you can look up stuff like that just to help you figure out where you are screwing up. All right, folks, so that's it for tonight. Join us here in a couple days where we'll finish this thing up. I need to check to make sure everything's scoring right. We need to fix the chime box and then reinstall it. I'm going to paint some of that back glass to try to touch it up a little bit. It ain't going to look too much better, but it's so bad right now I kind of got to do something. So I'm going to mess with that. And then we're just going to play it and make sure everything's right. But we'll go over the instructions and everything then too. Those are backwards as well. The price one goes over there and the instruction one goes over here. So anyway, there's all kinds of little stuff left. But join us next time when we'll get into that. Now, if you like this dealer's choice, we worked on one a while back. I don't know if I ever filmed a video of it though. I was about to tell you here's a video of us playing it, but I don't know that I did film that. If I did, I'll put the video up right here. But if I didn't, I'll put up something similarly fun with an asymmetric layout. We'll see you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed it.